All right, we're going live. Before I even start announcing what we're doing, let's make sure my guest can even join in. Those of you who have been following have probably noticed I've been running into some Instagram snafus. So just as soon as Fabiola gets in here, I'll go ahead and make sure she can join. All right, so let's just make sure. Okay, yes, we will be able to do that. So before I bring our guest in, welcome. I'm Jen with The Bold Thing, and this is a weekly guest interview series. And the intention behind it is to really show what goes on off of the highlight reel. Living a bold life, thinking the bold thing, saying the bold thing, doing the bold thing. It's a practice, and there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that goes on. So with that, I'm going to bring in Fabiola Segovia, and I'll share a little bit more about Fabiola when she is with us and we can see her. Y'all, I just got to say I'm excited that I can add her in. Instagram's been throwing a little wrench in some of my plans. All right. Requesting now, so you should see that, Fabiola, and hopefully that will get you in here.
Hello.
Oh, we made it happen. We
We
manifested it.
did. We did. How are
I'm
you?
so good. It's good to be with you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing so great. It's a beautiful day out here in LA. It's sunny, not too hot, not too cold.
The nice California weather, right?
Yeah, it's like paradise over here.
Oh, I love that. So you all have an idea now of where Fabiola is joining us in from. So let me just give a little bit of information of who our guest is this evening, or whatever time of day in whatever platform you are getting to view this on. Fabiola Segovia is a business strategist and certified professional coach, and is the founder of Thrive and Align. Two of my favorite words, by the way. Thrive and Align is a space dedicated to modulating the importance of life. Those that work with Fabiola in an intimate setting will thrive in life with her private coaching. Her wishes are that through her content, you will be in alignment with the world. Thrive and Align. From a young age, she naturally helped those around her. Now, as an adult, she's continuing on that passion. Those that know her describe her as genuine and kind, and someone that will move mountains for you. She has overcome many different life challenges from a young age, which has built up her resilience and led her to this movement. Her mission is to guide people to step into their full power, thrive in life, and align with their grand vision. She enjoys music. Absolute fave is underground techno, yoga, reading, history, dancing, and nature. And so I always kind of like to share how my guests have gotten here, because it's also serendipitous, right? Like, some of the people that have been on here I've known for a long time, some I've just met. And so Fabiola is actually someone that I met through Girl Boss. I'm sure some of the people watching this will know what Girl Boss is. Probably some in there as well. And I think anyone who's watching this who's an entrepreneur probably knows that, you never know how these like connection coffee dates are gonna go, right? You never know. And I'm a big fan of them. I've been doing them since I started my business, but a lot of them have been in real life, in person. And so, then COVID happened. And, I was looking for more ways to just be with people and connect with people. And Fabiola and I set up a conversation. And we actually talked very little about business. We talked very little about work. 'Cause we realized that when she shared she was from Chicago, that we both have a love of music. And anyone watching this who is a lover of underground techno knows it's not the Tiestos, it's not the Paul Oakenfold, it's the
Nope.
real Detroit inspired flavor that has just been catapulted around the world. And it's got its own sound, it's got its own vibe, and its own kind of following. So, once that happened and we were just getting along, I was like, oh my gosh, you have to come on the show. I want to share your story with everyone that I have access to, on Instagram, in my newsletter, on my other platforms. And so thank you, Fabiola, for being a yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me today.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm grateful that you get to be here. The last two guests kind of slowed the momentum down of this because Instagram is not supposed to have these secret things. They're
Mhm.
not supposed to penalize people for followers or engagement. But lo
Yeah,
and behold, I'm finding that not everyone gets the privilege of doing a dual video. So
got it.
this is episode 7. And so I've been
Awesome.
learning a lot of stuff along the way.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's what basically life is, right? Trial and error.
Yep. And so, I'm grateful to be here live because it is kind of more fun. But that doesn't stop us anyway. So
Yeah.
are you ready, sister, to get
Yes, I'm
into
so,
the
so
story?
ready.
All
Oh, yeah.
right. So I've been asking the same handful of questions for each guest. One thing that's really cool is there is a lot of similarity. And so I think it's really powerful for the people watching to say, okay, some of these people are doing a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
But then, because we're all different, where there's those individual nuances. And everyone's just got these powerful stories. And I'm excited because I never know what anyone is actually going to share with me.
Yeah, yeah. And I really love that you've come up with this series because I think a lot of times people think that getting to where you are now, like say for instance me being in LA, living by myself, like it just happened overnight and I'm lucky. And it's never like that. And everybody has an amazing story. So the fact that you started this series is just awesome, just to shine the light on people.
Yeah, thank you. I know what you probably find, as do I as a coach. People oftentimes interpret the highlight reel as the only reel.
Hmm.
And, I think ultimately that's really disempowering for most of us.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like for me, where I'm at in my journey, when I first moved here to LA, a lot of the women that I met, or just people in general, they said, "Oh my God, you're so lucky you have this or you have that." And I said, "Well, this has actually been a long work in process. This hasn't even been 6 months, a year. This has been a whole journey. So no, I'm not lucky. I
Yeah,
worked
yeah,
my
right.
way to here."
Like luck is such a disempowering word because it leaves it up to chance. No, I created this, right? I
Yeah, yeah,
designed it, architected it.
yep.
Well, I'm excited to hear what you're going to share because I know a few snippets of your journey and they're all big and bold and powerful. So Fabiola, in this moment for this series, what is the what is one of the boldest moves you had ever made that you would like to share with us, with the viewers?
I think the most boldest thing that I've ever done is letting go of everyone else's expectations. And it sounds so easy, but it is very heavy because if you grow up in a house where, I mean, everybody has their family, there's the expectations from your family, your friends, um, maybe the people you work with, just society expectations. There's so many expectations that are thrown at you.
Well, I love this for multiple reasons. And the first reason is you are the second guest that really threw something out there that I think will surprise the listeners, right? Because a
Yeah.
lot of people are like, the boldest move was quitting my job. It was doing this, it was
Yeah.
doing that. But the former guest and you, it was more of like a breakthrough almost, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you know really did make it a point to say it sounds easy, but it's not. Everyone who is familiar with me probably is not surprised what I'm going to say next. The complexity is always in the simplicity, right? Always in the
Yep.
simplicity. Letting go of expectations, if that was easy, we would look around at the planet and it would look very different.
Yeah. I
Got a
mean,
heart from a viewer, so I think people are resonating and getting that, right? Like we would be doing it all if it was easy.
yes, yes. And I think that's why I mentioned that and not an event, not, oh, me changing careers or me not listening to my doctor. It's beyond those events. It's kind of like a way of being. It's really letting go of those expectations and really owning what you want inside.
Yeah, that's powerful. Thank you for bringing this conversation.
Yeah, no
I'm
problem.
excited. Are you ready to keep going?
Yeah.
All right. And first of all, let me just acknowledge you for that courage, because the bold moves we make. Oh, my mom's here. Hey, mom.
Oh,
The
hi,
bold moves
Mom.
we make,
Uh-huh.
they do take a heck of a lot of courage. And so I want to acknowledge you for that. I see you. I hear you.
Thank you.
I get
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, no, and then a lot of times when you are in this position and you're, making the bold move in your life and you're going against everybody's expectations, you kind of end up being the example to everybody in those little circles or societies. So it's a lot of pressure to do that.
Yeah, right? It's true. People start watching. People start watching. Um, so, and Fabiola, this might be a little bit different. All the conversations are different. So, just you know this, right? You're a coach. Just
Yeah.
go where it flows you, right? But for many of us, when push came to shove, not always, right? For many of us, there tends to be something where we're like, oh my gosh, I have to make this move. It's time. For
Yeah.
some of us, it might look a little bit different, but for you, was there a push that came to shove? Was there something where you were like, I need to do this now?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was when I was kind of at the peak of my nanny career. I used to be a nanny and I worked with such beautiful families. I had such an amazing life working with amazing families, had a lot of time off, was compensated really well. But I also knew that deep down inside that wasn't what I really wanted to do anymore. And even though the money was really good, I just knew that I had to act upon these pings that I was getting inside to start coaching. And there was all these expectations and fears and just limitations from other people that, it's like you hear them all from everyone. I've even had someone in the past tell me like, "Oh, I don't know if you'd be a good coach," you know. But at the end of the day, it's not about, everything outside of yourself. It's all about you and what you think. And I just had to just really fucking own it and just go for it because otherwise I'd be like everyone else. It's just working, going home, watching Netflix, drinking wine, um, having their weekend, getting scared on Sundays to start their job on Monday. I told myself I didn't want to be one of those people that's, living in the zombie nation that we're living in right now.
That's beautiful. And so I'm kind of paraphrasing. So correct me, but it sounds like for you, I've met you. You and I have been in conversation, so I do know you're an intuitive being, like many coaches. So it
Hmm.
sounds like for you, you started getting like the pull,
Yeah.
like the feelings. And y'all listening, don't ignore the pull. That's your divine innate wisdom. And very often, like Fabiola just said, Um, and you know, Fabio, I don't know if you experience this, but with my clients, when they start getting the pull and they're right there getting ready, I'm like, do not tell anyone who will not bolster your dream right now. Protect this baby little seed. And the
Yeah.
naysayers that you know are going to naysay, you cannot tell them until we have roots into the ground and you are like this tree ready to go.
Yeah, and then just to go along with that, I feel like whenever anything like that comes up, I always tell people, you know, it's not that don't tell people things, but don't get advice from someone that hasn't been where you want to go.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, and if ever and that's fine if people around you aren't where you want to go. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
But just be aware that if you're going to go to them and you say, I want to do this, and it sounds crazy to them, guess what? That's how they're going to react. And not because they don't care about you, but because they're just expressing their opinions based on their limited beliefs. And that's why it's so important to just hone in on yourself.
yeah, right. Because when we don't know how we would do it or how it would be possible for us, we like to map that onto someone else and kind of
Hmm.
give them our story, right?
We want them to soothe us or to coddle us or to give us
Yeah,
validation. Like, yeah, you can do that. That sounds good.
yeah. So you followed your pull and you protected your pull, and it also looks like you looked around and you really started to say, but I don't want to be like everybody else. You're a leader.
I am.
You're a leader. That's beautiful. And you all, you know, this is always the part of the interview too, where I really like to normalize, you know, that feeling you get to stop. For most of us, it's just your comfort zone. And the reason why I like to point this out is one of my friends got a coach about a year ago. She
Hmm.
just did a very deep program with me that I was in with her. And it really provided a lot of value as a woman who's experienced a lot of trauma, for someone to tell her, no, no, the feeling of trauma saying no is different than the feeling of the comfort zone, right? So if
Hmm.
it's the comfort zone, lean in, get support. And I always like to point in here, because there's so much going on in the world for anyone. If it is trauma, we take that very seriously here. So you might need a little healing to do it. There might be more of a conversation, right? But just notice the difference, because your
Yeah.
comfort zone is going to try to act like you're dying. You're not.
Yeah. 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 Well, we're survival beings.
Yeah,
So we're gonna say if we see like the if we see that, oh, that starting that business, that's not safe, and you quitting your job or you changing careers, that's not safe. And yeah, we got to really pay attention to that.
right. And I will say, anyone who goes through a layoff like I did will realize you're not safe with anyone else either. So,
If I mean, if one thing that's 2020 has proven is that nothing is safe.
right.
Nothing is safe. So,
Thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful. And for the next question, this again, answer kind of how you hear it. Because the question is, what is your formula for living a bold life and continuing to make bold moves? And you know, some people kind of have a tried and true. I know I have to do X, Y, and Z to show
yeah.
up like this. Some
Yeah.
people, you know, it might be kind of like an ever-changing formula with some things coming in and out. But for you, Fabiola, is there a formula, or are there things where you just know I kind of have to be doing these things to live this kind of a life?
Yeah, honestly, again, I think it's very simple for me, and it's something I've always done. It's always just checking in with myself and seeing, is this what I really want to do? How do I want to move forward with this? And the first time I used this formula was when I was little. I was born with my hips dislocated. I'm a surviving twin. I was born in Texas, but because I had a lot of hip problems, I had to move to Chicago. So I had a lot of hip issues, and I had multiple surgeries throughout my childhood. And in my last one, I was 10 years old, and I had a full body cast for 9 weeks. And
Wow.
after they took it off, no one told me that, hey, Fabiola, you're not going to be able to stand up or walk. So
Oh,
not being able
wow.
to get up, that was such a, oh my goodness, like such a scary experience.
Oh,
And I went through a wheelchair, I had a walker, I had crutches, but before right after like my last surgery happened, my doctors had told me, you know what? I don't know, you're probably just going to be in a wheelchair forever. You're probably not going to walk again. And I remember just thinking, it's crazy. I'm still remembering like thinking that's fucking crazy. I remember like playing soccer with my friends down the street, riding my bike. Like what? Like how? Like that can't be right. That can't be right. That can't be right. That can't be right. And I just knew inside that I think I just didn't accept that.
yeah.
I didn't. And throughout, I'm now 31. My from I think 10 years old to like 25, I had a really bad limp. But as I've gotten older and became more active and did yoga and everything, I've slowly kind of fixed my limp and now it's barely noticeable. But it's crazy because even though a professional was telling me that I was going to live my life a certain way and that I was just going to be confined to the wheelchair, I just was like, that's fucking crazy. And it happened again when I was in my mid 20s. I started having a lot of pain. I went to see a new doctor, and my doctor had told me, I think I was 24 or 25, I don't remember, but that doctor told me, oh my goodness, by the time you're 27, for sure 30, you're going to need hip replacement. Let's get you on these pain medications, blah, blah, blah. And again, I just said to myself, I like really checked in with myself. I'm like, do I really need to, do I really need that? I haven't had hip replacement. And I've gone to lots of techno parties in my 20s.
No, but I was actually gonna say like I actually think I saw some friends the night after I met you, and I was telling them about you. And for anyone who's gone to an event like we've gone to, you're in it for the long haul. It
Yep.
is not for the faint of heart. You are moving, you are
You don't
dancing
wear
a
heels.
long span of time as well.
It's so funny and so ironic because me and my best friend and all my friends all my best friends, I've met them through underground music. But it's so ironic because like I was one of the last people standing all the time, just dancing and dancing and dancing. And how funny that, I was supposedly not destined to be able to walk, and there I was dancing all night
Right?
long.
Well, and what I'm really getting present to in your share is it sounds like for you your formula, and I like that your formula is simple, right? Because I think we self-sabotage ourselves so much by making it complicated and hard.
Yeah,
And like your formula is go inside. What does
yeah.
myself say? And Fabiola, I love that because I don't know if I shared this with you in our last conversation, but one of my master's degrees is in rehabilitation counseling. And for
Oh,
anyone
cool.
watching, that's not addiction counseling. It's working with person with disability and employer, to make
Mm,
modifications. And so
yeah.
I specialized more with blindness and low vision. But
Oh,
I
okay.
did, was trained in full disability. And I can't tell you how many times, and Fabiola, I love that you said this. This is why I became a coach. I couldn't stand sitting there watching anymore. My patients not taking the training, my patients not taking the devices. Why? Because people told them that they were their disability and they believed it. And they didn't
Yeah,
have fortitude like you to go in here and
yeah.
cross check themselves as a resource and a reference. And so that just makes me have chills because what you shared is a large part of why I became a coach. Seeing
Oh,
people put into those boxes by professionals is heartbreaking.
yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I think for me, part of why I became a coach was I think from all the families that I worked with, all of the mothers that I worked with, I just had such a wonderful bonds with them, and I realized that I realized in them my gifts of, helping others and really, being there for them and seeing people just throughout life and stepping in and helping them out and yeah.
That's beautiful. So, y'all, like, please, the thing I want you to take away from this question is um, always be curious. Even if an
Yeah.
expert gives you their opinion,
Yep.
um, don't just take it. Because we are so powerful, powerful beyond belief, and maybe they're right, but maybe they're not. And
Yeah.
even if even if you don't get like the success like through the way that Fabiola got it, I promise you, you'll still create something else magical by trying that.
Yep. 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 And that's not to say that my life is perfect and I don't self-sabotage. I'm human. I do self-sabotage, but that's why I am always making sure I'm in tune with my awareness and just going back to just keeping it simple. Like my mentor always tells me, keep it simple, keep it
Yep,
simple. And it's so true.
it is true. And and yes, and so everyone like also get that no matter who the professional is, we're all human beings at the end of the day. We all self-sabotage, we all get stuck. Those of us who might make it look easy, we might just be more supported than you are, and that's really the secret, for a lot of us. It's just support, right? In here,
Yeah.
out here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I think it's so important to do discussions like this because, yeah, I can show my life and say, oh, I have, my apartment here in West Hollywood and Los Angeles, and I have this and I have that. But I think what it's really all about is just figuring out all the little things like behind the scenes that I had to fucking go through to get to here.
Yeah. Your journey.
Yeah. And everybody has a special journey. That's not to say I'm not special, but I truly believe that everybody is special, but only if they realize it and recognize it and show it to the world.
Absolutely right. Oh, that's beautiful and powerful. Um, so kind of bringing it back to where we started almost. So your bold move that you shared was letting go of expectations. And
Hmm.
so again, we with this next question, we never really know the answer. We can just kind of guess. But if you were just to kind of imagine and get present to if you didn't make that choice that one day and say, you know what, I'm going to let go of these expectations. I'm going to do what I need to do for that to happen. And I'm going to live my own path. Where do you think you might be today if you did not make that bold move for yourself?
Oh, I've thought about this before. Um, Actually, I was just having this discussion with a friend over brunch. I said, because we kind of were talking about this, and I said, sometimes if you don't come to these realizations on your own, I could one day wake up in a marriage with a handful of kids and be very unhappy. So I think if I wouldn't have done these things for myself, I'd probably be somewhere in Chicago, married to someone, to whoever random, having some kids, and yeah, just living a cookie cutter life and not be here in sunny California.
Yeah, so your life would be very different. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it would be very different in the snow. I'm just kidding.
right. I'm from Michigan, so I get it. Yeah. And so, again, listeners, if if you want the cookie cutter life, like you're good with that. You're on your path. But if you don't, that, just really, really soak this up, right? And I think one I like to kind of throw in tips too during the interview, so I think one thing that can help for anyone watching, if you're kind of at a crossroads where you might have a bold move or something like that, just kind of let yourself daydream and feel. Okay,
Yeah.
there's no right choice, there's no wrong choice, there's just right, there's an aligned choice, there's an aligned choice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so really just getting present to, if I go this way, there's an impact. If I go this way, there's an impact. If I stay here, there's an impact. So just kind of get present to what the impact is and ask yourself, am I willing to live with this?
Yeah. And I think at
Feel
the
it,
end
like,
of yeah, I think at the end of the day too, it's about what you want.
yeah,
I mean, maybe for some people they they want to just live a certain way and that's completely fine. But if you find that you're not happy deep down inside and you're not doing anything about it, then that's when I think it's time to really, just like you said, get present with yourself and just listen to yourself.
yeah,
You will tell yourself everything you need to know and what to do.
absolutely. And yeah, and like that's the whole thing in the interview, right? Like I'm hoping to get kind of people's gears turning, thinking, and for anyone listening, um, also kind of just look for other ways your discontent might manifest if there is some. Because
Hmm.
sometimes it's not glaringly obvious, like, this isn't working, I have to stop. And it's easier when it is, right? It's
Yeah.
easier when the job's awful. It's easier when the relationship's awful. Most of us can just be done. But when you're kind of treading water and things are okay, it can be more challenging. So just look for other ways it might manifest, right? Like, is it through food for you? Is it through TV for you? Is it through, unhealthy behaviors, addiction, being angry all the time? Because it's good. Your soul is going to talk to you in some way, shape,
Yeah.
or form. It
Yeah.
it'll talk to you. It'll start with the feathers, and then it'll whack you in the side of the head if you miss the feathers.
Or you get sick.
Or like me, I got hit by a car. It was my feather. It was
Oh.
my, like, wake up, sister. What are you doing?
Yeah. 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 Wow.
Beautiful. So yeah, and I'm so glad you are where you are now. So one thing I want to like to point out to the listeners, consider when you let your fear win and you don't go on the path that's yours with all the love possible. Consider it selfish. Because if Fabiola wasn't where she is now, think of how many human beings would be missing out on what she's providing. And humanity absolutely needs what you're offering right now. So, you truly getting out of your own way, that's a
Mhm.
service to the world.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
a service to the world.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And yeah, I feel like it's a never-ending process.
It's true. It's
It's
true.
a never-ending process. So if you're in a spot right now where you know that there are things that are in your way, but it's because of you, just do it and take it by baby steps. You don't have to do so much at once. And there's no rush.
I had a leader once tell us in my training when we were all freaking out, there's no there there. Like, oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And so,
Wow.
Fabiola, in addition to all of the gold that you have already shared, and you kind of just sprinkle that in, but we might have you say it again, or there might be more. If you were to leave our listeners, and you can do this however you want, you might have like one piece of sage wisdom you really want to drop, or you might want to sprinkle in popcorn wisdom. You can do
Yeah.
whatever you feel moved in this moment. But what would be that final thing that you would really just like anyone listening to this to take out with them and into their life?
whenever anybody asks me this, I just tell them, trust yourself. I went backpacking in the summer with one of my close friends and his girlfriend, and one of his friends was on the trip. He's not on social media at all. He just loves to travel, and he hadn't heard of a life coach. And he said, "What's this life coaching?" And I explained it to him, and then he said, "Well, what's the most common thing you would tell people? Like, what is the one thing?" And then I told him, I said, "Just trust yourself." And it goes back again to the simplicity of just really, really trusting yourself. Because when you trust yourself, then you don't have to ask your mom, hey, should I do this? Or your partner, or your dad, or your child, or whoever. When you trust yourself, you're secure with what you want to do and where you are.
And what I'm really like the way I'm hearing that too is through trusting yourself is access to giving yourself permission.
Oh yeah, yeah. And staying at a giving yourself permission and staying at a high frequency.
Yeah, and for anyone, who's newer to the frequency, any listener who's into this, there is actually an emotional scale available that you can get on the internet if you just Google it. And they
Hmm.
do have technology, believe it or not, that does measure the vibrational frequency of the emotional state. And so when you are in the higher tier of frequency, like Fabiola is talking about, it's not a woo-woo thing. It really
Yeah.
is. Like I've tracked the data. When you're in those frequencies, that's where you're most going to say, the right people show up at the right time. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but it happens for me. It's really easy. Everyone wants to talk to me and be with me.
Yeah, yeah. I think Dr. Hawkins is the person that came up with the levels of consciousness or the frequencies of consciousness. I actually do. I'm an ELI certified. Um, I'm an ELI master practitioner. So what it is an energy leadership index assessment where
Mm,
you see life from 7 different lenses, and it's based off of this. It's kind of what you're talking about. And it's just 7 different perspectives of where you're energetically showing up in life.
yeah.
And even me, before I became woo woo, I wasn't woo woo because of all the people that make woo woo look weird and bad.
Right. We call that new age.
But yes, there you go, new age. But once I realized the science behind it, because we are energetic beings, it does
Yeah.
take me energy to pick this up or to talk
Yep.
to you, to sit down, stand up. And it's good to see where you are on the frequency or where you're seeing life through the levels of consciousness.
Yeah, and Fabiola, so if I know when I read your bio, it kind of focused on you as coach, but if anyone who is listening to this wants to actually, be able to see which way am I seeing it, is that something they could also contact you for?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Because I mean, the first step is awareness, right? Like, where
Yeah.
am I actually interpreting all of this?
Yeah, yeah. I actually, in my webinar I had recently, I didn't do a full-blown training on the 7 levels of consciousness, but we touched on it and the ladies loved it because it's I don't know, it's just mind-blowing once you look this up and you say, "Oh, wow, this is my thoughts are here. They're at a lower frequency. I can just change that same situation to a different perspective, and then I'll be at a higher frequency or at a higher level of consciousness. And guess what? My external reality is going to look better."
Right.
So,
Oh, I love that you threw that in right at the last minute.
yeah.
Fabiola, thank you for being a guest here. Thank you for being a yes to this, to life. It's such a gift to get to show you to those who got to be here live, and for all the others that will catch the replay. Um, y'all, this is going to be on Instagram. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be shared, and my request is always to anyone watching. If you know anyone who needs to hear these messages, please share. Um, I can't tell you how many of my guests have reached out. They've gotten people reaching out to them. It's gotten them to make the big bold move, you know. So share with any of your people that need to hear this message, because people need to know that this is work and creation, and there's stuff happening off the highlight reel.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you again for inviting me. I really, really love this series that you're doing. I think it's so powerful for you to bring on amazing people that are sharing their stories because I think people do get bogged down when they look at, say, Instagram or even people's websites or someone's success and they don't realize that that's just like at the end of the game and there's way stuff deeper than that. So thank you for putting this together.
Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome, sister. I had so much fun with you
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, this playback is going to be available for all of you, and just put it out into the world. Put the goodness out.
All right.
Have a
Yes.
beautiful rest of your, well, you're not in the evening yet in California. Have a beautiful rest of your day, sister.
Thank you so much. You too.
Bye, love.
Bye.